Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Esports Friday on what is our 16th Esports Friday. It's amazing. So, Cameron Uslan, welcome to you. Where are you taking us today?
Good morning. Yes, I guess a bit of something out of left field almost today, or at least that might be what it seems like to some people. Having a bit of a look at a advertising campaign that I think has kind of taken on some of the principles that we've been looking at, with the idea that gamers are kind of everywhere these days. We spoke with the CEO of Legacy and the Adelaide Football Club. What was he? The chief
Operating Officer.
Chief Operating Officer. Thank you. And he was saying how basically everyone that comes through the club, all the players, they're all gamers anyway, and that's kind of a representation of the fact that we're soon to be crossing the milestone of 3 billion gamers on the planet. So we're approaching half the planet who could be in some way, shape, or form classified as a gamer. And a new campaign that's launched about 10 days ago, created by a firm in Sydney on behalf of the Tourism Board of New Zealand, is all about trying to bridge this collection of people to try and use gamers as a way to sell their tourism and to sell the country. The concept is that they've created a game, which they haven't actually, but that's what they've kind of pretended to do, where New Zealand is this new open world environment that you can drop into and experience everything that it has to offer. So, I've popped a link down in the comments so you can check it out. The hero video is quite long, so we won't watch it as part of our chat today. But if you want to have a look, please feel free. There's also a couple of 30-second snippets you can watch. But they've gone with a very different approach to how they wanted to launch this campaign. They've actually partnered with someone we've talked about before, Loserfruit, who's someone we briefly looked at when we were looking at the different types of content creators. Loserfruit being an Australian YouTuber and Twitch streamer. She's got 2.7 million subscribers on YouTube and approaching 2 million followers on Twitch, which is quite a big deal. She peaks probably around 4,500 live viewers most of her streams. She probably streams 3 or 4 days a week. And they partnered with Loserfruit on Twitch to launch this campaign. So they got Loserfruit, who, along with her partner, has been to New Zealand a number of times. So it was probably something that she was quite excited to do, to, I guess, take her viewers and her audience on the journey of what it's like to play the game New Zealand, which is just about kind of experiencing what New Zealand has to offer. And it's interesting because I feel like New Zealand itself, I don't know whether or not you've been there, Steve, but it sells itself almost. They're very clever the way they market New Zealand, but I think that's because they can, because it's just such an incredible place. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And in the one of the things about gaming is that you go into these different worlds and places, and I when you showed me this video, I immediately thought that New Zealand was a fantastic place to place a game. It's got the mystique of the Hobbit and that super real storytelling surrounding the natural wonders. So I thought it was very, very clever how they did that. Have you got a bit of a clip of it? How they did it?
Oh, how they did it?
Not how they did it, but what they did.
Yeah, sure. Well, we can throw this on in the background. This has some of the footage that they used. So they're kind of stylizing the map like a game. You see the third-person action from the character.
You got to choose who that person was that you were.
Yeah, it's some of the elements that you find, quite regularly in games. They're trying to create stylistically within an ad, which is really clever. you did mention to me that some of the comments didn't necessarily look like they were very flattering for what it was, but given that it's an ad campaign, I wouldn't read too much into that. You know,
my comments were more about the as a one of the non-gamers in this conversation. I thought it was phenomenally clever how they overlaid real with gaming and the impression of gaming, whereas I found it really interesting that obviously gamers themselves that are used to a certain level of quality and expectation came up really short. But on the flip side, you're right. It's not a game. It's an advertising strategy. And if we look at that video that, as you say, has only come out in the last 7 days, it's had 172,000 views. So
the long form, which is this one here, is 560,000. So that premiered on July the 28th. So I mean, this is still, take it only with a grain of salt, because this is getting pushed to audiences as a marketing campaign. But this is a 9-minute video with 560,000 views. So I'd say that that's probably getting them bang for buck. It's hard to know exactly what they've spent on a campaign like this, but when you compare it to the money that, say, Australia has spent during the Super Bowl, whether it was last year or the year before, with that campaign with Chris Hemsworth and the American comedian, I can't remember his name, but that was millions of dollars for 30 to 60 seconds. And I'd say probably for what they're getting out of this, that it will definitely be able to make a return in and I guess they're thinking long-term. New Zealand, this is a strategy that's aimed at trying to get their nearest and closest friends, Australians, to go and visit New Zealand after lockdown. They're thinking, okay, this is something, people we can target now for in 6 to 12 months when everyone's starting to go on holidays again, in theory. That's something they've thought about and thought quite cleverly about how they approach. But
the thing, Cameron, the thing that this is no different to Australia using all those years ago Paul Hogan and throw another shrimp on the barbie. But of all the celebrities in the world that they've chosen, in the rugby, they've got the All Blacks, and there's many crossovers between New Zealand and Australia that would instantly gravitate to Australians. The celebrity they've chosen is a gaming celebrity, and I think that's a significant thing for us to recognize and realize. And do you want to just show us how they're using Loserfruit in that, or how she's playing that role? Yeah, sure. Because I think that's really interesting in how advertising is crossed over into that gaming market.
Yeah, and I think that is kind of what we were talking about earlier. It's about how you can leverage this. It's not about necessarily that gamers are the people to target because they've got more money or anything like that. It's just about getting into it, tapping into that new market in a different way, and very clever how they've done it. So this is Loserfruit's streaming setup. This is what you'd see normally if you went to her stream and she's doing what is referred to as a just chatting stream, or just at the start of her stream where she's talking to her audience. So that's her studio. You've got quite an engaging backdrop, which is always great to see.
PlayNZ. And I'm thinking, what is this? So I look at the back. And you know what it says? It says biggest open world RPG ever.
So that's her kind of, explaining this game that she's been given, following a bit of a script, I'm sure, but, just kind of playing into the element of, hey, check out this new game that I've got. They've given her the console DVD case as well to go with it. So they're leaning into it. She pulls out the game and then puts it on the computer, and you see the E for everyone thing. And this is a very typical stream
Let's boot this bad
thing
boy
to look
up.
at.
Let's go. E for everyone.
So you get that at the beginning of a game. That's the That's the rating. And this is kind of what you'd see on a stream with the game being played, the talent in the corner, kind of commentating, yeah, as they go through it, and then just selecting a character.
Deep cover, hello.
So, you know, it's they've tried to kind of bridge the two things and combine them together so that it's a familiar look for gamers. But I think they're doing it with the standard New Zealand tongue-in-cheek, which I think Australians generally tend to love. I don't know that I've ever heard anyone that hasn't loved pretty much all of New Zealand's tourism campaigns, or even just the ads for their airlines. They're all brilliant the way that they do it, the humor that they manage to do it. They've also partnered, not just Loserfruit, but they've also partnered with quite a well-known up-and-coming actor, Julian Dennison, who was in Deadpool 2. He was kind of brought out of the, I guess, showcased a bit by Taika Waititi in Where the Wild Things Are, I think it is. Hunt for the Wilder People. So, you know, they've got a couple of, he's a well-known star in Australia, but he's a Kiwi actor. I don't know who the people are in the game itself. So this guy might be a big time Kiwi actor, for example. I'm not really sure. But then, you know, they've followed this kind of style of
I have to get used to the controls.
Trying to get used to the game, which is something that all gamers have to do when they get into a new one. Runs into a tree.
I swear.
You know, so they're bringing in all those little elements to make it feel like it's something real. But some people didn't like that it doesn't look quite like a game, but you know, they're still watching it, and it's kind of that familiarity that they're leaning on. And the gamers, they're all watching it, whether they think it's great or not. So I think it's working.
I only intended to watch it for a couple of minutes. And Susanna, welcome to you on the live stream. It is unquestionably a well thought out, innovative campaign that does it kind of showcases gaming and New Zealand to new audiences, which I thought was clever. But it is engaging. I had no intention at all of watching the 10 minutes of it or the 9 minutes of it. And I think I said that to you yesterday, that I only intended to watch 30 seconds to get a clue for what you were talking about and watch the whole lot, because I thought it was incredibly innovative. I thought it was, I thought it was innovative and all that sort of stuff, but it actually captivated me for the 9 minutes in a time where I actually didn't have 9 minutes. So I thought that was really, really, really clever. And it's interesting in a whole lot of different ways that we're seeing the technologies for gaming being used in mainstream. Like last week, you showed us about the crowds being overlaid on the top, and how things are being brought into the user experience now of people that are watching mainstream sport from gaming, and I'm assuming vice versa at some stage. But clearly it's because gaming is mainstream sport as well, obviously with FIFA and NBA and all those sorts of things. So yeah, what else have you got for us? I agree. It's I actually thought it was good quality. I was a bit surprised when I read the comments as to the feedback, but I thought Loserfruit did a great job.
I don't think it's necessarily inaccurate either, some of the negative feedback. It's just, it doesn't, like, you know, it is a bit cringe, but it's deliberately cringy. You know, it's leaning heavily into those elements. It's unashamedly doing it. So, you know, that, but the people that are making those sorts of comments, you know, they've missed the point. They've already been targeted. They've already watched it. They've already consumed it. They're already thinking about New Zealand. So they the next time they think about going on a holiday, and in 6 months' time, when they have a list, and I don't know if they're a teenager or maybe their family are thinking about doing it, and they're like, "What do you think about New Zealand?" They're probably going to go, "Yeah, you know what? I think New Zealand's a good idea. I don't know why. You know, like it's already been the seeds planted. Whether they thought it looked like a real game or not, you know, that doesn't matter."
Well, and it created the conversation. And it probably will create a conversation amongst the gamers ongoing, which is the whole point, isn't it? Awareness and conversation.
It's about starting that conversation and kind of infiltrating, if you will, into the market of the gamer, finding a way in that's not just through advertising in a game or something like that. It's super, super clever. More the stuff that I've got here, that's a great picture to end on. I just there's a couple of written articles that you can read through. I've thrown one in the comments to just, read about it if you don't have time to watch a 9-minute video. We've got the actual, the proper website campaign for 100% pure New Zealand. And then the clips here. I had the stats. This is the stats from the stream where Loserfruit announced the actual video and I guess showcased it. So an average of about maybe 2,200 views or live viewers. So, it was pretty popular given that this was very clearly a sponsored event. So if she averages about 4,500 people, getting half of those to tune in to what is very clearly a sponsored thing, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so given that this was all about kind of the one thing, I didn't have anything more to show, but they're just kind of showing you all the different pieces and all the different elements of how the campaign all came together.
No, absolutely. And it has blown over the last 16 weeks. We don't know where we're going with Esports Friday. Really what we're doing, it's a bit like Burke and Wills where, without the running out of water bit, hopefully, but we're just exploring. We're just kind of going and looking in the nooks and crannies, and one thing leads us to another. And as we get a little bit more time for ourselves, Cam, which hopefully comes up, we'll start to get some guests onto Esports Friday that can again take us in new journeys like Nigel Smart did for the Adelaide Crows. So to those that are watching live, thank you very much. It's a really it's a interesting kind. It's not directly related to sports clubs, but yet it is and it will be, and we're just trying to work out how and why and when and how we can facilitate that. So I guess that's what we're doing with Esports Friday. So Susanna, no worries. I mean, I must admit, Cameron, I look forward to finding out where Cameron's going to take us each week as well, because it's taking me on a journey that I knew nothing about 16 weeks ago. And to be fair, I only know marginally more now, but I think it's bubbling away under the surface, Cam, and it's soon to come to mainstream. And many would say it is already mainstream, but I think it's destined for the Olympics and other mainstream events like that. So thank you for.
Yeah, that would be very interesting when and if it does get there. I don't think it's too far away.
Yeah, and Susanna, if you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, please. You've obviously got comments. If you've got questions, send them through, because any of the questions help us find the next topic, to be honest. So, that'll be fantastic. So, Cam, well done. I enjoyed it today, as normal. So, everybody else, next week is action-packed as well. On Monday, we've got Andrew Heinrich talking work health and safety within a community sports club, which will be really interesting because it's not really a topic we associate with sports clubs, but we should. Tuesday, really excited to announce the finalists in our photo competition. And I just, as we were speaking, got an email saying that we've got over 100 entries in the GeoSnap photo competition. So we'll announce those finalists on Tuesday, and then our community will get to vote on their favorite photo. So in about half an hour, we've got to sit down and work out our top 10, which will be really fascinating, really interesting. Wednesday, we've got a great guest on doing sport differently. I can't wait to introduce Rochelle to the audience. Thursday, we'll work it out. And then Friday, we're back to Esports Friday. So somehow or other, Cam, the live streams just keep on coming. So great effort. And Have a great weekend to you. Have a great weekend to everybody. Thanks, Marv, for the comment. Yeah, it is an eye-opener to the future. We don't know what it's going to do, and we're trying to work it out. Yeah, come on the journey with us and ask us questions and share your thoughts, and we'll go together. So until next week, have a great weekend, Cam. Great work. I'm Steve Palace, and thanks for being part of our sports community.